Throughout the history of ancient India, there have been many great leaders. These leaders include people such as Ashoka of the Mauryan dynasty, Shivaji, founder of the Maratha Empire, and Kanishka of the Kushan dynasty, but not even as great as Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of the Mauryan Empire.
Chandragupta was born in about 340 BC in the city of Palatilapura, probably the son of a Nanda's prince. Good records of these things were not kept at the time, so there is some discrepancy as to how and where he was raised. But one way or another, Chandragupta met up with a man named Kautilya, who would go on to become his mentor. Kautilya taught Chandragupta to become a man and a strong leader, and in about 320 BC they arranged an army and defeated the Nanda's empire, starting Chandragupta's own empire, the Mauryan Empire.
Over the next few years, Chandragupta went on a siege, conquering almost all of present-day India and some of Pakistan. His rise to power came in exactly the right time because in 320 BC, Alexander the Great was killed, and upon his death he gave his land to his high-ranking generals, who were also known as satraps.
Perhaps one of Chandragupta's greatest victories was one against Seleucus Nicator, satrap of Alexander the Great. In this battle, he took over today what we know as the Indus River Valley.
While the defeat of Seleucus Nectar did show his military strength, it also showed his strategic mind. This is because Chandragupta Maurya donated Seleucus Nectar 500 war elephants as part of the truce, which was used by Seleucus Nectar as against the enemy of both him and Chandragupta. This move by Chandragupta was smart, as it killed two birds with one stone.
Although we see that Chandragupta is a strong military leader, through his actions we also see he's a great political leader. With the help of Kautilya, he writes the Arthashastra, which is a guide to rule his kingdom and the empire he's constantly expanding.
For the time period, the Arthashastra was possibly one of the most progressive set of laws ever created. This is because of the rights it allotted to its citizens of the empire, including peasants, farmers getting grants of land, and even slave women who weren't allowed to be raped.
Although the Arthashastra was great, there were some things that were done in it that raised questions about Chandragupta's morality, such as espionage that he used against his own people. He did this by putting people into villages who would report back to him at the capital city and tell him about any uprisings.
Chandragupta is often seen as a bloodthirsty militant, which in some respects he was, but it is often forgotten that he was a fair and just leader, as we can see through the Arthashastra.
As we see with many first leaders of empires, their tactics seem cruel and unjust, but there is reasoning for this. They are trying to make a glue that will stick the empire together for many years to come. So,
one of the things that made Chandragupta such a great leader was how he was willing to put his empire before himself. This was shown when in 298 BC, Chandragupta gave up control of his empire to his son, not because he wanted to, but because he knew he was no longer capable of serving and did whatever was in the best interest of his people. After giving up the throne in 298 BC, Chandragupta Maurya converted to Jainism, which is a religion teaching selflessness and respecting all life. Something that he didn't really do much previously, but it just shows that he's such a great leader that he's always open to change. Shortly after his conversion to Jainism, Chandragupta went to a cave where he practiced Jainism for 3 weeks, meditating before he finally died of starvation. While the Maurya dynasty collapsed only a few generations after Chandragupta's death, it still laid out the framework for leading a successful empire in ancient India, which was used by the Guptian Empire a few centuries later, which created a golden age.
after doing extensive research on Chandragupta Maurya, seeing both the good and the bad sides of him, we have come to the conclusion that he truly is a great leader. With his political mastermind and military genius, Chandragupta was able to unify India, giving us effects that we still see today in everyday life. Chandragupta truly is one of the greatest of all time.